Okay, cool. So, well, as always, Sina will be the voice of the people at the end, of the episode. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest today. So, our guest today is Léopold Coppieters, or Coppieters. Not sure how to pronounce that. Maybe Leopold can help me with that as well. And he is the co-founder of Skysun. And the thing is that he's very passionate about the environment and very passionate about renewable energies. And he started his company with the desire to make solar energy easy and accessible for everyone. So Skysun, by the way, is an excellent example on developing a business model that is absolutely disrupting today an industry. And why? Because usually switching to solar energy seems to be very expensive, very complex and risky. However, Skysun is removing all those barriers, and it's helping people, to really get into the technology in order to be possible to combine positive impact and profit. So Skysun, by the way, is also a B Corp certified. They're also working towards the SDGs, and we will be digging deep on that topic as well with Leopold. So without further ado, Leopold, you can come up and turn on your camera. I know that you are there in the background. So
Hi,
welcome to the For
everyone.
Change Makers Lunch Club show.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Sina. Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity. I'm really happy to be able to do this. It's been fun seeing the For Change Makers community grow and see that evolving. So I'm glad I can take part in it in a small way today.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you very much as well for taking the time. So, by the way, just like a funny thing, I know that today you were supposed to renew your license for both license, I think.
I was passing my test. I had to pass my test, and then it got delayed. So I'm fortunately I can do this in sort of an office and not in the car. I was supposed to do this talk on
Yeah,
the car.
to do it in the car. So anyway, I appreciate that. So probably today we will have to have an episode that would go probably for 50 minutes. So we will do our best as well to crunch that, because I know that you have to run away. So
Absolutely.
anyway, thank you for being here today. So perhaps let's get started. With the first thing. I know that you have this presentation because one of the cool things about Skysun is the business model. So Leopold, right now, instead of just like talking about the business model, sometimes can be a little bit confusing when we talk about those things. So maybe having some visual will help everyone and me as well to understand your business model. So maybe you can share your screen, and
Absolutely.
yeah, we will get started with that, something new in the Lunch Club. Normally we don't do this. However, I think it would be valuable and fun.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Cool. So on the screen, you've got 4.4%. And this is the statistic that kind of got us moving. Arthur and I, my co-founder, maybe 4 years ago, we started looking into renewable energy, and we were really surprised to see that only 4.4% of the roofs in Brussels, which is my home city, were equipped with solar panels. So of course, 4.4% is not much. It's not enough at all. And this is really what got us started, Arthur and I, to start and try and find a business model that could really accelerate the adoption of those solutions, which
Mm.
are easy and really economically viable. So this is what I'm going to show you today, is how Skysun actually does help companies and individuals to move towards renewable energy. So Skysun, employ the sky, embrace the sun. So our company profile, real quick, we're really into helping out for affordable and clean energy and sustainable in cities and communities. And the two other climate SDGs we follow is the climate action and partnership for the goals. You'll see throughout the business model that this is really a partnership. It's really a win-win
Mm.
situation. And we don't really regard our clients as clients. It's more as partners for the long term.
Exactly. Yes.
So we are business activists, and we really use commercial and financial tools to fight climate change. That's really what we want to do. So the team, starting from left to right, Arthur, Maxime, Arthur. We've got two Arthurs on four dudes, and then me on the right.
Where's the dog here?
The dog's not on the photo.
But you have
This
it on the
is
webpage.
Yeah, it is on the website. You should go and check that out. He's very cute. And so Arthur is really in charge of legal, finance, and operations, and I'm more on the sales, marketing, and business development, which is why I'm talking to you today.
Exactly.
So what's the value proposition? Well, if you're a real estate owner or a company, you've got a building, and if you invest time and money, you'll have solar panels on your roof. And good news, they'll give you savings economical savings and environmental benefits. And of course, if you're a company, people like to brag, so they'll be shouting everywhere that they've got a lesser carbon footprint, and so
Exactly.
it's also public relations.
So could serve for marketing purposes as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And so this should be a winning equation, right? Except the thing is, most businesses and companies are lacking in time or money. Either they have a core business they want to invest in, buying some new machinery or so, or they just don't have the time and they don't have someone that can invest into their time into managing this project. And so the solution, of course, you've guessed it, is Skysun. And so what we do is that, well, we work with contractors. So a contractor is a company that will actually build a solar power installation, and some other people in the network, in the kind of, let's say, in the scene, are standard energy providers. So the way we work is that went quick. There you go. So if you're a real estate or landowner, you've got a high energy consumption and you're buying a lot of energy from your standard energy provider. When Skysun comes along, we invest into a solar panel installation on your roof. So this is our cost. It's our capex. It's our investment. And we will sell the energy produced by those solar panels at a discount. So we'll sell it for a fraction of what you pay on the right side from the standard energy provider. So the result is you buying less energy at a high price from your standard energy provider. And so bottom line, from day one, you've got savings on the economical point of view. You've got lesser carbon footprint on your building from day one. And you can start also talking about the impact your business is having. And so this is quite interesting because they don't have to invest, so they don't have to use their capex, their money. And we will do that partnership for 10 to 20 years. And so during the whole period, the panels are actually ours. And what's really interesting is that there's a perfect alignment in the interest, because if Skysun takes care of the installation really well and it produces a lot of energy, then we can sell more energy to the client or the partner. Exactly. And they're really happy for us to take care of the installation the best, because the more we can sell them energy, the more they're actually saving. So perfect alignment between Skysun and the real estate company or the business. And also alignment environmentally, because it means that we take care of what we do. We don't just sell solar panels and then move off and sell the next one and sell the next one and sell the next one. We actually manage the power plant for on the long term and make sure it produces as best it can. And therefore, we're also optimizing the return on energy investment and the kind of the carbon footprint of the installation itself.
Exactly.
So that's it.
Awesome. So, well, I remember the first time that we met and we were having this conversation. I was like, okay, this is awesome, but it's kind of like too good to be true, because like you're telling me that you're coming here, I have to pay absolutely nothing. You're paying or you're investing for the power standards, you install them, and then you go and you sell me the energy, and you would sell me the energy for a fraction of the price of the cost, that I'm paying today.
Yep.
So I save money and I have to do nothing, and you do everything, and you take the risk, you pay for the panel installation, and you take care of the things. So my first question, I remember at that time, and perhaps you can help us here today for everyone, like, where's your business model? How this model actually, it's something that for you it's also profitable, because I think also that's the interesting thing, especially for everyone listening here. They're almost everyone here is entrepreneurs as well, finding that business model that it's a win for the client. So it's awesome for the client. They're saving money, they're saving the environment, they can market that. Okay, that's awesome. But for you, why this is also a profitable business model?
Yeah. So yeah, of course, and this is kind of the biggest thing we hear from our partners. They're like, well, okay, what's in it for you? Where are you winning?
What's the
Um, what's the
catch?
catch? Yeah, what's the catch? And so there's no catch. The fact is, it's a really good investment. And Skysun, if you really get down to it, is an investment company, and we invest in solar panels as we would invest in real estate. So we invest in those installations, and then we have them as assets in our portfolio, and we just keep them going. In the same way you would maybe build a building and then rent out the surface and make sure you've got tenants and keep it running. So it's kind of
Hmm.
similar. And this is why we have this partnership on long term, because we need to have at least 10 years, 10 to 15 years, to be able to get back on our investment by the energy we're selling, and actually make a profit.
Got it.
The way we if you look at it, let's say on a 10-year basis, we would maybe need 7 years to repay the bank, and then would make 3 years profit, which would be uh, a lazy way of, but it wouldn't be a good way of operating the business, because that means we need to wait 7 years to make the first profit. So the way we do it is that we spread our profit on 10 years, and so every year we're paying back the bank a little bit, but keeping some for ourselves, which
Mm.
then can finance next installation and so forth. Um,
Okay.
so the catch, if there isn't any catch, the catch would be that you as a partner need to be a strong company with a good financial background, because the bank will not loan us the money we need to invest, and we will not invest on your building, because we need to trust that you're able to pay the bills for the next 10 years.
Exactly.
So that's kind of our risk, and that's why we also say it's a partnership, because it's a mutual trust. It's we need to really look into the clients we take in and the partners we take in, uh, because if they go bankrupt, then we've got
Yeah,
a.
of course. There's a risk as well. Okay, cool. So, well, I think we're done with the presentation. So thank you for that. Um, well, today we get started, and we went immediately into the business and how it works. We will come back in a bit into this as well. But right now, I would like to take you to 2017, Santiago. I know that you were living there. Santiago, by the way, is my hometown,
Nice.
and you were working there, and then you got the opportunity to get involved into this project. So perhaps you can share with us the story, how everything came together and how you started this. I think that would be very inspiring for everyone listening.
Yeah, so I studied marketing in Brussels, and in the studies I had to, well, I was given the opportunity to do an internship, and so I found this little company in that is from Belgium, actually. It's from Flanders, uh, but they were working in Santiago, called Turbulent Hydro. You guys should check them out. Also, they're really cool, and they're doing hydropower in. They were doing that in Chile at the time. And I was thinking maybe we could look into developing this project and this product in Wallonia, because these guys were from Flanders, and so I was thinking there's more topography and more potential for hydropower in Wallonia. So we started looking into that, and we figured out that it was going to be a very complicated, and it wouldn't have, let's say, the quick uh, feedback of the market, and so it would be a very complicated thing to set up. But then we actually got to understand renewable energy and the way the energy market works, and that's when we kind of stumbled upon this solution for solar panels. So that's really where it all started, was in
Mm.
Santiago.
Got it. Got it. And when when you first started out, well, startup, well, you still are kind of like a startup, it's a small
Absolutely, yeah.
team. But from the very beginning, what were the main challenges that you were facing within the business, and how did you face those challenges? How did you overcome those challenges?
Um, I'd say the main challenges was to get the first projects going. Uh, the challenge here was to get reputation.
Yeah.
Um, so it took time. I think that was actually the solution, was to be kind of patient.
Well,
Um,
that's a good one.
and so we the way we did it was we didn't want to take too much risk and like start the company and go full um, on with the solution. So we had an approach that was very low cost, really. So what we did was we set up a WordPress website, skysun.be. We got the main name. We did some business cards. We did some emails, and then we just started pitching to clients. But there was no company. It was Skysun, but it was not.
There was no legal structure. There
No,
was
it was
no.
not. It was
Okay,
not
so
incorporated. There was no legal structure, so it was kind of wind, if you may. But then we got attraction, and after 6-7 months of talking to clients and developing the solution, and then we finally got someone who was saying, okay, let's do it. I've got 3,000 square meters in Brussels, and I'll work with you guys. Let's do this.
okay,
And
I'm just sorry to interrupt you. I'm just
no
curious,
worries.
more or less, how many people you were like pitching then to people like 6-7 months? How many people you were pitching more or less until you got your first yes?
Probably around. Well, actually, to be honest, we got the first yes actually quite quickly, through networking, also through friends of friends and stuff like that. But then it took a lot of time to get the other ones, because we although we had a first project signed, we needed to figure out how to actually work with solar panels and make it happen. So we were quite lucky in being given the opportunity to work with this first project. Maybe it was the 10th client or something like that. So it wasn't like we
100 people, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't such a hassle. But the hassle was then to kind of drop into the energy game at by then we were 22 and 23, and we knew absolutely nothing. So it was kind of fun to go to meetings, and we were like, let me get back to you on that. Just like writing down just some really basic stuff that we didn't know. But so yeah, it's really when we got the first projects running and we could take photos of them and show them on the website, saying, okay, this is ours, that's what we can do. That really turned the switch in the minds of many other potential clients that were not saying no, but they weren't saying yes yet. They were just kind of waiting to see if we would just kind of follow through and really have something to show for. So I'd say what was really important for us on the first project we had, as soon as we had something to show, we really went full on marketing. So we had someone come over to shoot a really cool video with drone footage and so forth. We interviewed the client. We tried to produce as much content as possible to really put it out there that we had done something worth noticing.
Mm. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I think also for everyone listening, here you're getting a really good piece of advice, somebody that did it, and because I think also like the starting the company, and especially when you're young and you're getting started, you're not branded, you don't have experience, you don't have a background, so all these things, well, the market sees them, but also how you deal with your own little voice, because even though you're just going with that, you have those inbuilt fears. Did you face any of those, let's say, fears or internal struggles along the way?
Yeah, we did, but more so 2 years in than in the beginning. In the beginning, we had an approach that was very kind of one foot in, one foot out. So we didn't go all in. We were more like, okay, we're still young. We can start a master's degree and then start the business on the side and kind of do that part time.
Mm.
Um, and so that's what we did for the first year at least. So it wasn't so much a pressure of if this fails, what do I do? Because we were kind of like still on the path of study, so it still kind of made sense to be on both. But we did have a really kind of depression 2 years in when we had our first kind of let's say just business issues with big companies that had signed agreements that we had worked a ton on the projects, and then they just kind of flipped us because some dude somewhere in the headquarters in France had said that in the end, no, they don't want us. So that was really that was well, just sad moments where you're just there's nothing you can do because you're a small company, you're not going to sue them, you're in your rights, but you don't have the money to actually make those rights heard. So that those are moments where we kind of hesitated. We're like, okay, is this gonna? Because we had like two projects that fell out of the sky, so they weren't happening, and we were kind of really on them for a few months. So that was a bit of a tough moment.
And how did you deal internally with the team in those moments?
Well, it was the two of us at the time. We really just hired team in June of 2020. But so at the time we were kind of just it was just before Christmas, so we figured let's just take a month off, kind of, because anyway nobody answers the phone around Christmas. It's everyone's either finishing off their accountability or whatever. It's kind of a kind of closure of the year, so nothing's happening.
Yes.
And so we just kind of dropped everything, took some time off, and then when we came back, we there was a few new good news, and it kind of really it's always kind of up and down, but if you wait till if you kind of hang on there's things that happen also, I think.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that, because I'm very interested as well, not only in the skills but also the mindset. So because in business, well, in life in general, but in business in particular, because it's the topic today, you're facing with stuff that are surprises. Like
Yeah.
in this case, you're working your ass off for getting a deal and then suddenly something happened, and as you said, there's sometimes things that you can just don't do anything about it.
Something I might add on this topic is that I really feel, and that's something I felt really grateful for, and it wasn't a decision to do that, but we kind of figured out that it was actually the case, is that starting a company when you do a service, and to companies, so a B2B service, is probably the easiest company to start, because you really don't need anything else than a PowerPoint and a suit. And so it's actually it doesn't take too much time to kind of get the business started, so that you can get a lot of feedback straight away. Whereas if you're doing a B2C, so a consumer-oriented service, then you really need to step up your marketing game. You really need to be like out there, and it takes also already a little bit more work. And then if you go into the product side of businesses and you're developing a product, then you're really talking about developing in R&D and putting in money and costs and time, and not knowing yet if the product's actually going to be good for what you intended it to. So on the scale, I would say like a consumer-oriented product would be the hardest company to start, I feel, and then a service-oriented, a business-oriented service, that would be the easiest and the most kind of like where you can really easily pivot, because you just need to change your PowerPoint and just kind of change your angle.
Yeah, you can get the market validation way faster as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited about maybe one day doing something, a product that would be cool. But I feel it's kind of a luxury to start with, or to do that, because you have to be able to say, okay, it's going to take 8 months before we have the first prototype, but fine. Well, and if if it screws up, then okay, not too much in the balance.
So interesting, and I agree with you as well. By the way, guys, for you that are live joining us today, you can start also like posting there in the Q&A section your questions. I can see it here. Axel PV2 already took the lead on that, and he's asking already some questions. So for everyone else, you can just
should I answer this first question?
No, not yet. Sina
Okay.
will come up then, and we'll moderate this. We'll ask them live, so everyone also have the opportunity to hear that.
Cool.
But if you're having some questions along the conversation, you can start doing that as well. So the next question right now is like, I mean, this industry in general is an industry of big players. Like energy industry, especially, I mean, the traditional one, definitely big players, and the ones who are moving today to renewable energies. We're talking as well about big players, like big projects, big things, big money. how did you do it in order to make a space in the market, and from there start growing? How did you find this space for Skysun?
Well, again, I don't think we've been so innovative in what we do in terms of the power purchase agreement business model is one that is exploited, as you said, by the big guys. So the big energy providers, they do that, or they've got some small companies that do that for them on the big scale. So they'll be aiming for Coca-Cola and Nike, and they'll be putting tens of thousands of solar panels at one time, or they'll be building wind stations and so forth. And they do those big projects, and that's where the PPA comes from. And it's not a new thing. It might be even more than 10 years that it exists. But what we did was we brought this to smaller companies, and that's where the big guys, they can't compete on the same level of service and and just reactivity, and they're really good for big corporate stuff, but for the SMEs, I feel that we really have an edge because we can make the difference by human contact, having a really fast follow-up, also differentiating in terms of image. If you have a look at our website, we've got just the color palette is really different than what you would expect from renewable energy. You could think of a green background and stuff like that. We thought we wouldn't go with that and just try and do something a bit more out of the box. So that are kind of the small things we do. Also, on the website now we've got a simulator tool, which is kind of fun because it'll spot where your IP address is. And so if you're connecting from Barcelona, it will spot you in Barcelona. And when you ask, when you put in the size of your roof or the size of the land and so forth, it will give you the potential CO2 avoided and the potential economical gains for your company. And so that's also kind of a small innovation tricks. It's not like it's super high tech, but it's just the small things that make it kind of gamified and fun for someone to look into the potential of their roof.
So interesting. By the way, I do believe that these small steps, small innovation is actually everything about, like today, especially, I would say even with the social media, that everyone is looking for the big breakthrough, for the big innovation, for the big moonshot. But sometimes these little things, incremental, and just shifting the angles, doing, this playing with these things and make it more fun sometimes are the things that really make the difference in the real world, in the real life, in the day to day. Now, my question is regarding that: how do you come up with this? Do you have specific meetings, or I don't know? I'm just curious on how these ideas come up, and you implement these as well.
Well, I think there's a big difference between wanting to do a startup and wanting to start a business, or just kind of like have a business. And I feel it's two approaches that are really different. In terms of if you're really like into the Silicon Valley startup mode, then you'll be putting up a pitch deck of something super innovative, and you'll go rushing for a seed capital of already a couple of 100,000 very quickly in the millions. And it's big game. You're like full on, and you've got to do this. If you just want to start a business, then you can take something that's kind of already existing in some way, put it to yours. Like if you want to start a bakery, then you just bake bread, but do it in your way, which is quite different. And so that was our approach, was to kind of just start a company, and then when it's starting to have when it's delivering on expectations, then we started looking into more innovative stuff. And right now, I'd say that after having had a business for 3 years, we're now willing to actually have a startup, and we've got a few ideas of what we want to do, and we're going to raise money to do that. But it's kind of after having the first experience of just settling in, I think it's also the approach because of the age we were. I wasn't particularly interested in having something that would. It's already of course, a huge part of my life. But if I had investors behind my back and expectations and targets, really ambitious stuff to do, it would have been a fun 20s. It's still have to enjoy the ride.
Absolutely, makes total sense, and I think you just touched something very important. That is also know yourself and know what you want for your life as well. Because, as you said, I want to enjoy my 20s and I want to have fun. Well, then going and doing some sort of Silicon Valley thing, if not something that really inspires you to do, and this is not how you want to spend your 20s, then don't do it, because then you will be uninspired, unhappy, all stressed out. So I think that self-awareness, it's so important when deciding as well which kind of steps you want to go with your business. So anyway, I think that's a big takeaway on that one. On the other one that you mentioned before about your target market, so you're not going for the big players, you're going for real estates, realtors or businesses that have the real estate. However, they are not as big, so the big companies are targeting those ones.
Yeah, so they those type of players, they will. Right now, I think they do. They don't target them, but they'll service them if they have the opportunity. So if we're proactive and we go towards those small businesses, they probably work with us straight away, and they'll be very happy with it.
Exactly.
But if a small company goes towards those large energy providers, I think they will service it. But indeed, it's hard for them to, because they're such a big company. They have cost structures that are much more important. And so if they need to take a decision on whether to invest or not, they need to have this board of investment that gathers. And the board of investment is maybe 5 people that have a pretty high salary and that have limited time opportunities. And so they don't want to gather the board for 100 solar panels. They want to gather the board for those big stuff. And so that's where kind of we can really be quick and act fast. Is that we take the decision to invest face to face. We're in the same office, and it goes really quick.
So you can provide a better service as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Quicker and more tailored to the needs of the.
Yeah. So for everyone listening here, if I'm reading between the lines, and this is over service, under service markets, So there's a market today that it's being underserviced. So nobody's approaching to them. And if they want it, they have to go proactively and knock the door, of the big players. And that will take time, will take bureaucracy and stuff like that. So that specific market, it's being today underserviced. So the open loop that these guys saw in the market was like, okay, these guys are being underserviced. Let's go there and over deliver, and give them a even better service. So that's, in between the lines, what you're saying. And I think that's such a smart approach. So your business, look around with the market, who in the market is being today underserviced. So you can go there, look for those people and over deliver. And that's how you win your clients.
Really, yeah, absolutely. And then once you've got a step in the market and you have a few clients, you start seeing things and you start understanding things that you couldn't have seen if you were just looking for that innovative thing to do in the first place. You maybe don't see it from the outside, but once you're in, if you've got an entrepreneurship mindset and you're always looking for new solutions, then you see that, and that's when you get this opportunity to also maybe go towards more ambitious targets and do things more differently.
Exactly. Good. Now, I want to bring you back, kind of like circle back to the very beginning and talk again about the business model, because something that also to me is very interesting. It's a really good business model. It's a really win-win situation. However, the catch for you, the company, is a super demanding in cash flow, because it means that you have to take all that money today
Hmm.
and pay for the investment, pay, for the installation, and then you will get your money back in a period of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
But you have to put that money today up front.
Yeah.
I know that you're not going with your own capital. I know that you finance this, with institutions or with investors. Can you tell us a little bit, how are you financing, this party?
Yeah. So this is a part of the business that I'm not I understood on the way, but it was more Arthur's part. He's the financial guy, and so the way we work is so the banks are happy to lend you money if you put in a percentage of equity. So let's say you're going to spend 100, they'll say, okay, we'll give you 90 if you put in 10. But we, of course, did not have 10. So how do we do that? We go to a private investor and we tell them, well, listen, if you give us 10, we'll give you a rate of return of X%, which is maybe twice as high as that what you would get from the bank. And look at the financial plan. This is the energy that will be produced every year, and the sun shines 5% up and down every year, so it's pretty stable. And so the income is really, it's no hockey stick of a like investment company where you're planning on having really high results in 5 years. No, it's just super steady for 10 years. And so that gives the confidence for the private investor to put in the 10, and you use those 10s as the as
the starting capital for the banking
absolutely,
to,
yeah,
or to bank
absolutely,
to give you
absolutely.
the big
There's
chunk.
also a few tips and tricks that you can use in terms of as a development company. You're also you could say, okay, well, I don't want to handle the development of the project anymore. I just want to finance, and the bank will still be, well, okay, if you want to build a house, we're happy to finance it. And you can, as a development company, say, well, I need to pay my engineers, and I've got these outside guys I need to pay, and so forth and so forth. Oh, and the costs of those engineers and all those outside providers is going to be around 10%. So you just put that in the capex, and the bank will actually loan you 100, and then so it kind of comes out in the same way. And that's a way you can really rotate and make it well happen easier. It's called a development fee, and that's actually quite a good way of working too.
Okay, and do you have today like a pool of different investors when you have a new project, so you already know who to reach and they will give you that money, or you're actively looking for?
So it's actively looking, because of course you want to kind of spread and not be all the time going to the same person, which of course they will not be interested either, because they have to kind of spread their risk. So it's been, again, that's more the financial side. It's more Arthur that takes care of it. But he's constantly on the lookout for potential investors. What we really like to do too is crowdfunding, and give the opportunity to individuals to invest in the projects. But it's always project finance. So it's always, we've got a project, we show it, people put in the money, and then we invest in that project.
Got it.
So it's less risky for them, because they're not investing into Skysun, they're investing into a project with a fixed return. And it's actually more interesting for us because it's a fixed return, and we're happy not to kind of dilute our equity in the company.
Exactly. So interesting what you're saying as well, because I think so many entrepreneurs that are looking for investor or looking for raising money or looking for crowdfunding, stuff like that, they normally put the business or they put the whole thing there, and you need to raise more money as well. In your case, you're going just like fraction by fraction. So for this project, we need this, and this is the return. I think also that's a very clever way. And if you in your business, you're looking for investors or for crowdfunding, maybe trying to like chunk in different projects or steps, the money that you're raising will definitely be helpful. So
Yeah.
I think it's way easier to raise the money for one specific project than raising, I don't know, like $1 million to finance the project for the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Or what we're now kind of doing, because we've got more and more projects coming in, is that we're securing, uh, let's say, an interest into investing. And so this financing partner might say, okay, well, I'm willing to invest 100 over the next 5 years. And I want to invest in so and so projects. And so, okay, fine. Well, as soon as we have projects coming in, we'll come to you, and you know that it's coming, and so he doesn't have, or she doesn't have to invest now, but she can just trickle it through as soon as the projects are coming in.
As soon as you have something that fits that the investor profile. Got it.
Exactly.
Cool. So, that's on the side of the business model. I think we went very deep on that. Now I would like to shift gears and go to the impact side, because I know as well that you are B Corp certified. So, can you share a little bit about your journey and perhaps what's the impact business model that you use?
Well, for B Corp, the impact business model is kind of, it speaks for itself in terms of solar power and renewable energy. That's kind of the carbon impact we have, and that's where we have a kind of a environmental impact. B Corp for us was really a question of, I say, growing straight, and so becoming B Corp at a young age allows us now to, as we grow the team and as we have problematics and questions that come up, we can look to B Corp and we can see what are the best practices, what they would advise to do, and that's what allows us, I believe, to kind of grow straight and easily implement these things, those best practices as we go. And it's, I think, much easier to grow that way than to retrofit a company. I think it's much tougher for companies that already have 20 to 50 employees to become a B Corp than for us, who are 4 of us, to do that.
Yeah, because you're growing with that framework from the very beginning.
Absolutely, yeah. And so that's really for me the benefit. And of course, there's the community, there's the events and so forth, and that's great. I think it can also be a source of business in terms of, I think there's a willingness from B Corps to work with B Corps.
Yes.
And so we're definitely planning on sharing our solution to the different B Corps in the community, and that way also grow the solution. And I think that's kind of the benefits of a community and a network. It can grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things of B Corp is the B economy. So it's kind of like this inside economy, bubble economy within all the B Corps, and people doing business together, and everyone uses business as force for good as well. So when you're talking with another business people from a B Corp company, well, you know that they're doing the things right, they are certified, so you don't need to go and do your research and stuff like that. You know that they are in the same page. So
yeah, absolutely,
it's pretty cool. And after being certified, how long have you been certified? Just
we were certified in October, and we started the process in April.
Okay, got it. So 6 months more or less. Yeah, that's average.
It doesn't take it doesn't take so long to fill in the assessment. It's like maybe a couple of heavy days work. They can spread over a few weeks, and then you just drop in the assessment. And then, well, obviously, I think also with the COVID situation, a lot of companies were slowed down, and so we're taking the opportunity to become B Corps, because that was something that was doable easily, or at least not remotely. And so they had a lot of work. So maybe that's why it took them a couple of, maybe 4 months to come back to us.
Yeah. So, well, I think we are almost done. I have my last question before we bring Sina in. A bit about the future. Well, you're today in a phase where you're scaling, where you're already looking for growth. You already mentioned that you've been 3 years in business. You've been steadily growing and having the business. Now you're looking more to scale and to grow, to expand, without maybe going into so many details, because I think there's some information that today it's private. But can you share us a bit, where Skysun is going?
So what we really want to do is get out of Brussels. We've been really focusing on this niche of Brussels and the Brussels region, which was really good for as kind of a starting ground. But we want to grow out of it, and so now we're really looking towards servicing Belgian clients. We think we're going to focus on the first phase on Belgian clients, but serve them across the EU. We've got a big chance is that we're based in Brussels and European Commission is based in Brussels. And so there's also Solar Power Europe, which is the association of solar power in Europe that is based here in Brussels. And so it's kind of cool because that means through the association, we have contacts with contractors in every single European country. And so what we aim to do is say to Belgian companies or SMEs that have industrial roofs or buildings in different countries. Well, listen, we can service all those roofs here from Brussels, and you have one contact point. It'll be easy. It's an easy way for you to kind of get things going, and we'll do it all. We'll do all your portfolio straight away. So that's kind of the business proposition, and I think it's going to have quite a lot of traction. It also means that I don't know if the people who are listening from where you are, but it means we're actually going to those European countries. And after this first phase of servicing Belgian clients in those European countries, we'll have a first glance of what the different regulations might be. It's more or less streamlined because it's Europe, and that's great. But there are maybe a few tips and tricks and learning to work with different contractors. And so after this first phase of gaining experience in those countries through our Belgian clients, then we'll be able to kind of spread in those countries with this first experience. So if you're in Italy or Holland or Germany, France, wherever, we're coming.
That's
you guys,
awesome. Is
you
it
guys should follow.
any way that that they can stay in the loop?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think the best way would be to go and follow our LinkedIn page. We do have Facebook and Instagram, but it's more kind of fun stuff for day to day. The big like more business oriented announcements. We make them everywhere, but LinkedIn is the most professional and the most complete. So I'd say that's where you would want to follow.
We will put that in the show notes afterward this, and also when we put this as a podcast episode. So if you're listening right now the podcast and just the audio, you can go to forchangemakers.com/podcast, and you will find there the show notes.
Amazing.
To linking, to the website of Skysun and also to the LinkedIn, so you can stay in the loop. So thank you for that. So Sina, maybe you can come in right now and as normally be the voice of the people. You will be in the background. So welcome back.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much, Léopold, for all those insights. You have a really, really interesting business model. So I got some inspiration from that. So thank you very much. And I would say let's go over to the questions, and also to all of you guys who didn't ask any questions yet, you can still do it. So we still have some time. But I would go with the first one from Axel, and he wants to know where do the solar panels come from?
Yes, so that's actually a quite recurring question. And the answer is from China or South Korea. And it's actually quite interesting. A couple of things. First, people are always kind of like, oh, it's from China. Well, of course, there's a cost of production that is quite low in China, as is most of your electronic appliances. Solar power and solar panels are also electronic appliances. And so it kind of makes sense that they're cheaper and good quality from China. That being said, there are a few companies that claim to have German solar panels or French solar panels, but the reality of it is that it's kind of like your MacBook Pro that will be like designed in Cupertino. It's
produced
like
in China anyway.
it's assembled in Germany, but most of all the parts are from China.
happens very often with a lot of products.
Of course, but what's interesting and what's important to take into account then is the return on energy investment and the return on carbon investment. And I'll take this opportunity to kind of dig into a bit more technical. So let's say you need 1 unit of energy to produce a solar panel. If you produce it in China and then you get it to Belgium and then it produces, let's say, one unit of energy every year, then in 1 year you've got your return on energy investment. You invested 1 and you get 1 in 1 year. That's good. But unfortunately, in China, the carbon intensity of energy is higher than it is in Belgium, because their energy mix is not as clean as it is in Belgium. And so this then leads to a different kind of thought process, where you say, well, listen, if their energy carbon footprint is of 2, and as a fact it's of 6, and ours is of 2, then it'll take 3 years to kind of get back onto the carbon footprint. So that's something we take into account, and it's also what we need to be thoughtful of. But I think in the balance, what's happened with China and the production of solar panels in China is of a benefit to everyone, because they've been really able to lower the cost to a place where it can really scale. And so that's what we're really seeing now, is that solar panel is cheaper than every other source of energy. So that's a big win for the world. Yeah, so that's my answer to that.
Yeah, it's kind of it's so interesting, because that's the cost of putting this thing eventually in every home. Which, by the way, that would be awesome long term.
Yeah.
So it really makes sense. Thank you for that thought process. Definitely some food for thought.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I think we're done then for today. We're finishing today a little bit early, because also Léopold told us at the beginning.
I've got a license to get to pass.
You have to, yeah. So anyway, wish you a lot of luck with that. So hopefully you passed that test. Thank you very much as well for taking the time during this crazy day for you to talk with us and share your business model, your experience. I think super valuable. And we'll be sharing these as well then as a podcast. So thank you as well for everyone who tuned in today. Hope that you enjoyed this conversation and you have some fun. And yeah, that's it for today. So anyway, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Sina. And be happy to meet you in person one day. We've been online, but
yeah, that's absolutely, well, when this craziness stops and we're able to move again, we were in Brussels last year as well, so probably we'll be there soon. So we will let you know.
Sounds like a plan. Have a great day.
Awesome. Okay. Ciao, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Ciao.